Good. All right. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And as usual, we'll begin our meeting with a moment of silence. And today, I've got two folks to recognize. So, Patricia Davidson passed away on June 22nd. Many of you know her husband, Jim Davidson. He was on the original board of the Whitman Counseling Center, and I think is still involved with the food pantry. He's been at our meetings for those. But yeah, our thoughts are with him and his family. And then I just found out this afternoon, my friend Chris Matthews, aide in Rep. Keating's office, passed away yesterday. So, super involved in local politics in the South Shore. So keep him in your thoughts too, and his wife and kid. Thank you. I need to announce this meeting is being recorded and televised as soon as Comcast works out the kinks, but it's at least being recorded by WHCA. I need a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And a motion to accept correspondence in the read file.
So moved.
Second.
And then for discussion, I think we received these cards from, I'm not sure what school. It just said Town of Whitman on the card, but
Last year, Whitman Hanson.
yeah, students sent us a number of "You are an important thread in our community" cards in the fabric of our community, and signed by a bunch of elementary school children. But thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And public forum. Anyone here to speak on something that's not on the agenda? Seeing none. First event, we have a meeting to recognize the retirement of Officer Robert Stokinger. And I have a proclamation signed by the board to read. Whereas Robert Stokinger is retiring from the position of police officer effective July 6th, 2026, having served the town for more than 30 years, and whereas Robert Stokinger has served the town honorably, faithfully, efficiently, and with the dedication beginning as a permanent reserve officer in 1996, before becoming a full-time police officer in 1999, also serving as a SEMLEC SWAT team member, firearms instructor, firearms licensing officer, taser instructor, and radar instructor, all the while carrying out his duties in a manner that is a credit not only to himself, but to the town of Whitman as well. And whereas the valued services and untiring devotion of Robert Stokinger have not gone unnoticed or unappreciated, and he will be sincerely missed by his retirement. And whereas the Select Board, on behalf of a grateful community, does hereby commend Robert Stokinger for services rendered to the town. And whereas the Select Board, on behalf of the citizens of the town of Whitman, extend heartfelt gratitude to Robert Stokinger and wishes him many years of good health and happiness in his retirement and any future endeavors he wishes to pursue. We hereunto set our hands and town seal on this 30th day of June, 2026, at Whitman, Massachusetts, and signed by the 4 members up here. So, thank you. Oh, yeah. Chief, did you want to say anything too?
We're going to give this to him now, or we'll wait till it gets signed, right?
I think we could probably wait till Sean. I don't know. We'll ask him.
Good evening.
Evening.
Great pleasure that we announced the retirement of Rob Stokinger. As you said, he graduated Whitman Hanson in 1989, and it's been a long journey since then. And here we are. Officer Stokinger retires as badge number 1. And so he's held that for a number of years. And so he's going to pass that on to the next most senior officer. And now I'm going to say a couple of nice things about Rob, and he's going to absolutely hate that, which is going to be enjoyable for everybody else. So. Rob is always willing to help out. Didn't matter what it was, whatever the department needed, Rob was always there. And that's not evident in his biography, some of it, which you just read. At one point, the department didn't have any lieutenants, and Rob was affectionately called the lieutenant at that point, even by the supervisors who were sergeants and outranked him. So That says something. He always had a solution to the incident and didn't mind expressing those thoughts to everybody. Rob always had that command presence and still does. If you see him standing there, he does even out of uniform. Rob was able to transition from policing in the 90s to what it is today. And over the course of 30 years, that's not easy to do. Policing is constantly evolving, and here we are, and Rob's been able to overcome that. They say police officers hate a couple of things, the way things are and change. So there's no middle ground there. And this latest change isn't a goodbye, it's an adjustment for all of us, including Rob and his family who are here tonight. He's going from full-time department, working a shift, to becoming a detail officer out directing traffic primarily. He'll be missed on the shifts, but he'll still be around. And we're happy for him and glad he decided to remain on the force as a special officer. So I'm going to present him with his retired badge and his ID. And a little, there you go, Joe did that. Congratulations.
So yeah, we have a.
Congratulations.
I figured we'd see you around town still.
They were.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome
Congratulations.
to take this now, or wait till Sean signs it when he gets back from vacation.
Write Sean's
track him
name
down.
in.
Congratulations.
Take it.
Thank you.
Yeah. How you doing?
And here we are.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Oh, that'll help, huh? Get your hat.
Next on the agenda is the chairman's report, and I have a couple quick notes. So first, the ones that I anticipated when we posted the agenda. Something I've seen Hingham do, and I want to try to bring it to Whitman, is an all chairs meeting. The idea being for elected and appointed committee chairs to get together in a room with a quick, what do you have going on your committee this year? Challenges you anticipate for next year, and then it's a good time for us to hear, what committees don't have access to manage their page on the town website, or an email address to contact, a badge to lock up after your meetings. So I think it's a step to trying to bring all the committees together. Start working on that plan and reach out to all the committee chairs in the meantime, but something in the fall, after the new town administrator starts, might be a good chance to, not to look past Mary Beth, but good chance to introduce all of the committee chairs to whoever your successor is.
Excellent.
Good idea.
Thanks.
I like that.
Yeah, I saw Hingham do it, and I thought, I'm taking that. And then next, the strategic plan update. This is just something that I think I'd mentioned to either Don or Sean at some point recently, but our strategic plan was a 5-year plan. It is planned through 2026. I think we need to start looking at what the next steps in that plan are. Looking back at it, we have achieved many of the things we set out to do, although not all of them. But I think probably a future agenda item for the board, so we can start thinking about it now, is what does that look like? Do we manage it in-house? Do we try to hire a consultant again? And then the last time we did a Saturday working session in the town hall auditorium, I think that was effective. So if we're open to that, it's probably how it'll look again. But any comments on that, or bring it back for a future agenda item and we can discuss what that looks like in more detail?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, that way we can continue on what we want to get accomplished and what it's going to take to get those accomplished in the future.
And something I've seen other towns do that, this could be the start of, is meeting annually, which is more goal setting for the town administrator and the select board, but that might be the way to, all right, for fiscal 27, what do we want to get accomplished? What do we put on the town administrator? What do we put on ourselves? And then build from there. And that would be a good time to keep the strategic plan in mind and drive forward. So to do a little more long-term planning for a board that, could just meet every 2 weeks and vote on what's put in front of us, I think we can be more proactive. Yeah.
I'm glad we're revisiting the strategic plan. Like you said, there have been quite a few things checked off of it. But historically, we haven't, or I think the public hasn't heard the board talk about those achievements. So communication is great, just to reiterate what has been accomplished, what's outstanding, like you said. Something I had picked up at the recent MMA conference was a suggestion to have quarterly select board meeting. Now, it's adding another meeting, but it's strictly focused on looking at strategic plan, right? Identifying where are we at, where are we going on maybe a quarterly basis, or revisiting some of the other plans that we have, right? We've got municipal vulnerability plan, we had a capital improvement plan. We just saw OCPC with the downtown revitalization plan. So lots of plans,
Yeah.
but what are the next steps? And I think perhaps incorporating quarterly meeting just to touch on those so that it maybe doesn't fill up our business month to month. It's an idea.
Yeah. We'll work on that.
Yeah, another thought on that, if I may.
Yeah.
We may want to get in contact with, say, the business in the town of Whitman to find out what they're looking for as far as, bringing businesses in town and to maintain their business and what they're looking for. They may have some ideas, that would be helpful.
To jump the gun on our agenda, so yeah, the Economic Development Committee
yeah.
heard a presentation from OCPC last week, and I think it was in our presentation, but it was definitely in the lengthy version of the report. One of the recommendations is to form a downtown business association to basically have that outreach group, a central place you can go to and say, for downtown Whitman, is there, do we want to amend our, not bylaws, but the establish a sort of a theme for the downtown for signage, fonts, color schemes. Like, you can do that kind of stuff with an outside planning organization. So, and it might give it a more town center feel. And Park Ave School. So this is one that has been on and off the agenda for a while. I just wanted to update the board that I did speak with Town Council Peter Sumners on the Park Ave. So the last time we took any action was to vote to designate, to not sell that parcel and to designate it the site of a future community center. When I spoke to Peter, I think they plan on putting together a memo for us, but to summarize what it's going to say when we get it, is that we don't need to take any action legally until we change the current use of it. So right now, it's sort of in a limbo, and I don't think we're at any legal risk until we attempt to start doing like a feasibility study for a community center. That's a clear change of use from the abandoned school that's a school use right now. So I think that for the time being, we don't need to pursue any legal action to try to get the deed restriction lifted or amended. Yeah.
Question regarding the structure, the building that's there. If there is no ability to rehabilitate that building,
Yes.
if that's the decision by whatever building inspectors or, we hear about, there's asbestos in it. Well, there was in the Holt School, former one that became a police station. It can be remediated.
Yeah.
If that's the will to try to reuse that structure, bare bones or something. If not, is it the decision of this board to move forward with at least demolition of that, similar to what Hanson did with McQuon, not necessarily in an effort to say, okay, and then we're going to build this community center,
Right.
simply to make it green space for the purpose of removing an eyesore at,
So I think that was in the vote that we took, was to raise the building,
okay.
find a way to assemble the funds to raise the building, whether it's a capital exclusion or some other process. Yeah, we probably should work on
Grant
that.
funding.
Or grant
So
funding, yeah.
Maybe that could be next steps,
Yeah.
right? To move forward with,
Yeah, Mary Beth, do you want to look at how we may fund the demolition of that building and
And if you remember, we did talk about possibly using CPC funds. However, that's only if you were going to your next use for the building.
If it's
We're
rolled
eligible.
in,
If it's
like a
rolled in.
package.
And-
So if you use CPC funds and then you decide to do something totally different that
Right.
doesn't qualify, you'd have to probably pay those funds back.
And I
So
think the vote
we
for
did
community
talk
center
about
was to
that.
basically put an end to the use of
Right.
CPC funds for the building.
Correct. So yes, some quotes
Yeah, I just
on-
wonder if
Yeah,
they're,
quotes of demolition. McQuan
Just-
was about $1 million. I think that was the ARPA appropriation at least.
if there's grant funding available. I don't know how that could be a grant
Yeah, I
in
don't know what
itself
grant
to
might be.
demo.
Yeah. But
But
Sure, I
still
can get
worth,
some
yeah,
quotes for
kicking
that.
around.
I'll have that for the
Get
next
some quotes, and yeah,
meeting.
we can think about possible funding mechanisms.
Absolutely.
And then, yeah, 2 items that got added to the chairman's report recently. So first, Chief Clancy reached out to say that we'd be opening cooling centers in town. Mary Beth, do you have the dates on that?
So, yes, I actually did bring that information. I was going to mention that in my TA report.
perfect.
So we think alike. Let's see. We have here, and I received this email just Monday evening. With the heat wave coming, we'll be posting the town buildings during normal business hours will be open. I know that sounds a little funny, but I think that they're having the cooling centers in the town buildings, the COA, the library, and town hall during business hours. We'll have the town hall COA and the library. We'll evaluate if we need to open for longer hours and staff the town hall with certain team members. They're going to post it on social media as well, and then they'll adjust the plan in case there are any power outages. Of course, if there's power outages, we definitely need to extend the hours. I asked about Friday and Saturday. The bad day is, heat is supposed to be on Thursday. The heat index, I mean, it's going to be way up there, over 100. So he did respond to me, the chief, and said that he does have a volunteer for Friday and Saturday if they need to open town hall for a cooling center. But we'll have to see. Sometimes we do open these cooling centers and then there's absolutely nobody that shows up. But still, with the kind of heat that we're looking at for Thursday, so we'll get a good indication to see what the response is. But he'll make the determination for Friday and Saturday as we move through the week.
Okay. And last, I'd say a pet peeve of mine is that we tend to not recognize people until they retire, and nothing against any of our retirees, but I think that we should take a little more effort to recognize our town employees while they're still working here. And with that said, I wanted to do a shout out to Jen Argenti, who followed up after our either last meeting in May or first meeting in June, when we asked if we could put more information on the town website. And the first thing she did was get quarterly, I believe it was quarterly expenditure reports and quarterly revenue reports and monthly expenditure reports up on the town website, along with our audited financials, DLS analytics, and our Moody's rating. So thank you, Jen, for being so prompt on getting back to us. And next is new business, starting with Ed Winnett updating us on the Hobart Dam replacement.
Ed Winnett, 308 Rainer Ave. And thank you. I'm happy to share a few of the updates with respect to Conservation Commission and the Open Space Committee for 3 related items. So I know I'm on there for twice, and I'll just flow
Sure.
one after the other, if that's okay. So with respect to the Hobart Dam, during March of this year, I was fortunate enough to work with a team of professionals from Verdantis, and we submitted an Eco One Stop grant for $170,000 to perform required engineering studies to support replacement of the Hobart Dam. The grant award is to be awarded this coming July, and we're hoping to hear good news. And based on that, this grant will allow the replacement committee to start organizing community engagement activities in 2027 to support the larger replacement grant that we'll file for in the latter part of 2027. So this is the initial step to be able to do the engineering studies to determine what is needed for repair or what is entailed for replacement of the dam. I did want to say thank you. At your last meeting, you appointed the members to the replacement committee, so I appreciate that, and I'll be scheduling our first meeting shortly. To start collecting some of the data, with the bigger grant to replace the dam, there's a lot that has to go into it because they don't typically replace dams. they typically tear them down. And that would have a huge impact to the community. So this the bigger grant requires a lot of effort to start collecting some of the data that we needed for the dam replacement that illustrates Hobart Pond is such a high resource value for the community. I posted a Survey Monkey QR code on the Essex Street side in the kiosk on 6/19, and I can tell you that as of today, there's been over 25 responses. So that's great, but I encourage the public, every time you go there, snap that QR code and answer the survey questions, because it'll show how much the boardwalk, how much the pond is being used. So that's really important. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for July. July is a good month for us.
And is that a MVP grant? Because usually, I think the dam tear downs are usually the municipal vulnerability preparedness
Yeah, it's all part of the
EEA cycle, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the, yep,
Okay.
yep. And
One follow-up question, too, because I had learned that previously Massachusetts offered a lot of grant funding for seawall repair for coastal communities, and they're now recognizing inland towns with the need for these dam repairs. So hopefully they're shifting some of that grant funding, and maybe that's part of what you're already
It is.
applying for.
It is part of
Is
it.
in that pocket of money that was simply designated for seawalls.
Yeah, my understanding, before we put in this grant, that $3.8 million was released federally to support dams, if you will, interstate dams.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
so this would be a part of it. But this is a good start, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. In May, with respect to the rail trail, in May, I submitted a grant to Rails Trails to Conservancy grant to perform a feasibility study of putting a boardwalk across Hobart Meadow. So if you remember the pathway that we had proposed, part of that was to connect into Abington going across the Hobart Meadow. That would all be part of the Frederick Douglass pathway. This is one of the most challenging sections, so you could ask, why did you pick that section? It's because it's going to be one of the most challenging. And if we find that we are able to do that and it's feasible, then it really gives an indicator of the project's viability and what the next steps might be. This award is for $25,000, and I should be notified in July. And I do want to give a shout out to Matt, too, because he did give me a hand, submitting that grant as well. That's good news. So like I said, July is a exciting month, so let's hope. So the last other thing, from both the Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee and the conservation perspective, we, being the town, have been presented with a tremendous opportunity to acquire 12.5 acres of pristine land consisting of wetlands, fields, and woodland at the end of Jacobs Lane. So you may have heard, I'm not sure, but did want to share this. This property is adjacent to 11.8 acres of conservation land, thereby increasing the potential open space opportunity for our community. It's also within the Abington watershed area near the Myers Well. Depending on the results of the Hobart Meadow feasibility study, this might also be an alternative connection to Abington for the Frederick Douglass path. The owners desire the land to be conserved and are willing to sell the lot for conservation at the assessed value. But timing is important, and it really is. I've applied for a CPC grant, which is tied to town vote at town meeting. And as you consider the date for the next town meeting, I'm hoping you'll keep this in mind or consider other financial alternatives to purchase this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So,
And do you have a timeline on when we would need to appropriate the funding, when we would need to have a town meeting?
So the initial discussion with the owners is we were hoping to have a presentation. I was going to do a presentation to CPC on the land, and hopefully from there, maybe take a site visit, and CPC would vote to approve to fund it, but then it would need to go to town meeting. And we were guessing, just sort of based on historical, that it'd be maybe the September timeframe. And the owners are willing to wait because they really want the land to be conserved. And you may be familiar with the property. It's absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful.
And before Mary Beth goes, I would just say that, yeah, that timeline would be before our free cash is certified most years. So we could spend CPC funds, certainly, but we couldn't take many other financial actions at a meeting in September. I imagine that was what you were about to say? Or?
No, I was just wondering what
Oh.
the assessed value was.
Oh, yeah, that too.
$218,000.
Don?
I'm thinking about a transaction that town meeting approved recently, which was to transfer and sell land that Whitman owned in Rockland, right, back to Rockland. So there was a revenue source from that. I may have asked in a meeting, or I don't recall, but that those funds coming from the town of Rockland to buy that land from Whitman, right?
Yeah.
Where is it? It's going to land in the general fund, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm opening up an idea or discussion over an opportunity here where we might have revenue that could then go towards similar type of land.
Yeah, open space acquisition using money from the sale of open space is a pretty good,
Right.
yeah, pretty
Right.
good trade-off.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Rather than have it drop into general fund, roll into free cash, and it goes to purchase something that's most certainly important, but
Yeah.
this would be almost perhaps a one-for-one.
In whatever way you decide going forward, I'm happy to support. Whether it's coming in and doing a presentation, for you as well too on the property, and I know the owners are interested in attending as well too, because they really do want it to be conserved.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
keep us
Thank you
posted
for
on
the
that, Ed.
update.
Yeah,
Thank you for the update.
yeah, we'll do, great. So let's hope for July.
Yes,
Thanks.
Fingers crossed.
Appreciate
Keep us
it.
posted on the good news
Thank
when
you.
it comes in.
All right. Next item, act on the request of Elena Mora on behalf of the Southeastern Philharmonic Orchestra for permission to use the Town Hall Auditorium to conduct a free concert on Sunday, December 6th, 2026, and Saturday, April 18th, 2027. Mary Beth, is anything else to add to that? This is
Nope.
an annual, yeah.
That's the, for the December and the April, they do this every year. They have two each year, and really a great response. People come from all over to attend this, so this
Yeah.
is excellent. We've been doing this for many years now.
Yep.
Justin, you said Saturday, April
Oh, did I?
18th. Did you mean Sunday?
Sunday, yeah, Sunday, December 6th, and Sunday, April 18th.
Okay, just making sure it didn't change.
And do you need a motion?
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All right. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Act on the request of Kate Barton on behalf of the Whitman Cultural Council to hold the annual summer concert series Thursday evenings from mid-July through August in the town park beginning at 6 p.m. and for permission to use the town hall auditorium in the event of inclement weather.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion on that?
I wanted to add the dates, if anyone is watching
Yes.
this meeting. Specifically, it's Thursday, July 16th. I looked it up, and it goes for 6 weeks in a row until August 20th.
Thank you.
So hope everyone can join, and fingers crossed for good weather outside.
Yeah. All right, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Where am I? Vote to accept a donation of $7,500 from the Copeland Family Foundation, Inc. to be used for the animal shelter.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Act on the request of Town Clerk Don Varley to sign the warrant for the September 1st, 2026 state primary election. And I have that here for us to sign if we vote.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
Makes sense.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Town Hall Auditorium usage policy. I'll turn that over to Mary Beth.
Okay, yes. So we've been talking about having a town hall auditorium usage policy. I think it's important that we get one on the books. I took a look at what was submitted for a basic policy, and then I compared that to the district's policy as well. Took a lot of good information and used that. The main question I have before, and that's why I call this just a draft, is because it really comes down to, before I can put together any fee structure, who would be responsible for paying. So not always, but most of the time, we do require that the custodian be present for the event. If it was dollars for scholars in the past, Michael has just taken care of unlocking the doors or whatnot. But the main groups that really use the auditorium, or who may want to, dollars for scholars, the Philharmonic Orchestra, the Cultural Council for their events, this concerts, if there's raining, they'll come inside, and Mothers Club. The Mothers Club has made donations to the town. Just this year, $1,000 to the library, $800 to recreation, and $800 to conservation. And then I think, the dollars for scholars as well. So do we want to charge for nonprofit organizations or town organizations, or do we only want to charge for-profit organizations?
Yeah, Dan.
Okay, my thoughts on that, Mary Beth, is if it's a town function, right, I don't think we should be charging. I mean, if the custodian needs to be here, maybe they can pay for the custodians to set up chairs and take them down, whatever. But if an employee of the, like we'll say Mike, dollars for scholars, if he wants to use it for a function, and he comes in and sets the tables up or whatever he does for the project, I don't think, there should be no charge. We won't need a custodian because he's got a key and he can open and close the town building. But to charge a town like recreation or wherever, a town facility, using a town facility.
Cultural council.
Cultural
something-
council, I don't think we should be charging them. If any particular license is needed, maybe, don't know. Like a liquor license, usually a lot of times, when we used to do the wine tasting, we would forego the liquor license. No, they used to have to get the liquor license.
And that
we
would
used
come
to put
before the board.
Right, and we used to put it up in the building, in the hall when we had that. But any other than that, no. And if somebody wants to use the town hall for profit, or like, I think maybe a wedding, or something like that, I think there should be a charge.
Now, I do have in the policy, I don't know if you read it, that it's not for personal use.
Right.
For anything like
Right.
that,
Okay.
unless you feel differently.
Well, I mean, if somebody wants to have a wedding, and everybody comes here to use the town hall, whether, well, then we'd have to open it up for that. Yeah, might be a problem.
Also,
And
we had discussed
I
that.
had raised an issue with you, yes. So my concern was that, when we built the police station, made renovations to the fire station, and made renovations to this building, we borrowed as a municipal entity, and we cannot create a profit off of, the proceeds of the loan or something to that effect. But we basically cannot use the benefit of that, municipal interest rate to generate a profit for the town. More
It
or
would
less,
jeopardize
right?
the tax exempt status on the bonds.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's where I have a concern. When we get beyond someone pay the cost of the custodian or whatever other minimal cost of using this, if it becomes we rent out for weddings at whatever rate per hour, that would jeopardize our existing bond, which is almost paid off, and maybe we can explore that in the future, but
I never thought about that, yeah.
yeah.
So the main thing I see is really the custodial. We
Yeah.
do have an
Which is the biggest
overtime
cost that we
line.
actually pay, yeah.
And we normally, we can pay that, although not for a ton of events and not all the
Yep.
time. And there's other reasons that the custodian would need to use some of that overtime. So I guess the question is, just for the fee structure, do we want to charge any kind of a facilities use fee that just goes to the general fund? Or are we looking at that and a custodial fee? Or are we looking at just custodial fees? Do we want to charge a custodial fees across the board or just for-profit? Those are my main concerns.
Okay.
I think if it's a nonprofit town
Group, organization,
whatever,
department.
no charge. But if it's for a profit, someone who wants to use the town hall and charge, tickets and stuff like that to make money, theoretically, they're using a hall for nothing.
A dance studio or something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
They should.
We used to have the
charge
Miss
them.
Whitman pageant
That would be
here.
an example of one that we.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That I can see charging, either for, so much an hour for the fee,
Yeah.
for a for-profit, $100, an hour, or a fee for the whole day, plus the custodian and any cleanup fees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm still trying to understand how to best utilize this for the community. And I guess I understand the town isn't in the business for making money, and that's what you're referring to, renting it for profit. But you said while we have a debt existing?
Yeah, at
can't?
least while we have a tax exempt bond, we cannot,
You have to
At
be
least-
very careful.
yeah.
Careful?
Probably-
Is it allowed or not allowed? Like when you say be careful, I really
Well,
want to.
I would have to pull out the information on this before, but it was explained to me, like if you did renovations to the town hall, you couldn't then have a vendor come in and serve lunch, like a vendor that would do that in an area of town hall. We did ask years ago about having functions in the auditorium. And again, at that time, it was only a few years after we had taken out the bond. Now, I will say that the bond is up on that, I believe, 2030. So this is the last year of Whitman Hanson, and we're coming close to the police station and the renovation debt on that.
Would it make sense to seek advice of counsel on like what is and isn't allowable on
Bond council.
bond council?
And
Yeah,
I can-
you're right.
yes.
That should be an easy answer for them. And just revisit this at one of our future meetings, because, yeah, I think that really changes what we'd be looking to allow here.
Are you looking to consider anything that is on a personal note? I mean, you had mentioned that, and
I mean, I'm not if it would be a burden on on our custodian, who I don't believe we've hired yet, to do like weddings every weekend. But it's probably worth a discussion to
Yeah.
do, because I think that's a reasonable thing to do in
I mean,
the
I
facility.
feel like it's a wonderful auditorium.
Right.
It's beautiful. I would like as many people to utilize it as possible. And yes, it's going to take an employee, a staff member, a caretaker, or whatever you want to call that person, to be in attendance when someone is renting this, certainly to be on site. There's a cost to that.
Yeah.
That has to be worked out. But I think it could be a great opportunity for people to use it, whether it be, I know you said not for personal use or family reunions, but I can't think of a better place to have a family reunion, right? I know people go to the VFW, they use American Legion. I don't necessarily want to compete with those in Knights of Columbus for their function hall revenue as well. But I think
I mean, we
Being able
can,
to
that's why it's a draft. We can
offer
do
it?
Yeah.
Right.
whatever. The other thing, too, is the Corthell building, and that's what I was thinking, once we get that restored, hopefully with CPC funds, I can see that being very similar to the one I toured and you spoke about in Norwell, the Cushing Center.
Yeah,
And
that
you
would be
can
beautiful
have,
space.
I think that's great to have reunions and all kinds of things. That is a beautiful building as well. I am very cautious here. We have all of our employees' offices and,
Right, yeah. We
so-
store things under the
Oh,
stage.
true.
Like, there's a
Correct.
lot of,
Correct.
It's a good
So I
point.
was thinking more the Corthell for that type of
Yeah.
thing, but certainly we can do whatever.
I think to start here, at least where my mind is at, is the town-affiliated organizations, cultural council,
recreation for the Easter
recreation,
egg
that
hunt.
kind of stuff, we shouldn't charge anything.
No.
Even nonprofits, if we wanted to do a pay the custodian fee,
I think there should be like a nominal $100.
yeah, something
site
like that.
use.
Site use, but they don't have to
Right.
pay for the time to.
Because they're
to be
nonprofits,
here.
but they're typically selling tickets, or they're, even,
Yeah.
Mother's Club, it's tickets to get in. Granted, they've turned the money back to the community.
They do,
Yeah.
But there has to be some use fee to go along with
At least
it,
to- yeah.
Right, for heating, electricity, to offset those
Yeah.
expenses.
Now, that would be for like a Mother's Club at Dollars for Scholars.
I think so.
Philharmonic Orchestra, though,
Yeah.
we do that with a grant.
Right.
We did it
So
with a
I don't
cultural
know
council
that you
grant.
would want to,
Right, it'll be coming out of cultural council funds. Yeah, that's where, so maybe we'd want to be clear that nonprofits, whatever, the fee could be waived by a vote of the board or something along those lines.
I worry about that, though, because then we're picking and choosing.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's up to the majority of people who feel like, I want to give them a break. I think we really need to be fair. And if they are a 501c3 nonprofit, then there will be a use fee.
So yeah, I think start drawing the line there.
For a use fee for, just to
Use.
cover custodial, not
Yeah.
necessarily
and
building.
lights and, you know, where it would otherwise be turned
Cover our
down.
costs.
Overhead.
So custodial and a facilities fee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
and there should be something in the procedure.
Sorry, Bob, just
about
introduce yourself
insurance.
first.
Robert Kimball.
Yeah, thank you.
Robert Gilway, about insurance to the organizations in using it.
We do have that
Yeah.
in the draft.
Okay.
Yes, we do. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
So, yeah.
I can work
But,
with
yeah.
that, get some information on the bond, and come back at the next meeting.
And just some minor details I picked up on. The
sure.
draft you had included didn't necessarily speak to maximum occupancy that exists in the hall. So
Per
at least.
reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the maximum capacity, say, is 800, but
Depending on the setup.
depending on the setup. So if you have all your round tables with all, 5 chairs around 20 tables, then the capacity, is 140 to 250.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Where the capacity for a blood drive is not the same as a
correct.
concert.
And I would, for American Red Cross,
Yeah.
they do the blood drives in there. Are we
Yeah.
charging them now for
question.
custodial fees? That's another one that we
Yeah.
have.
That was was that on a Saturday or was that during the day?
We tried to do them on a Friday because of the parking. The parking is limited. So with all our employees, and then they're trying to get the truck and all their equipment, and it's very difficult. People trying to get out for lunch and can't back out. So we've kind of scheduled those on a Friday. But would we charge for that? So that's
Right.
one that we schedule quite often.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll make a list of all the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go back a couple of years to see who has really used it, and then we'll
Right.
see if anybody, we need to separate anything out.
Yeah.
But
And I think even outlining the occupancy, right? If it was a solo artist on stage and every chair on the balcony was filled, right? That's maximum occupancy.
Yep.
But
And that's-
but
we have
other
that, too.
conditions apply
Right.
depending on that.
Yeah.
That could be
Absolutely.
Outlined.
But great start. I was actually really impressed with the district's policy. It was comprehensive.
Yeah, very. Okay, so that's great.
That's it. And then line item transfers deemed necessary. You emailed a couple to us today.
I did. I emailed 5, and one of them I would just like to pass over. And there was a very small one for the Conservation Commission for $30. So I'm not even going to, it's not
Okay, guys.
itemized. We're not even going to vote on that one. The others, I'll start first with the snow and ice. So the town ended the year with a snow and ice deficit in the amount of $250,149.29. We were very fortunate to receive an email from Allison Sullivan that the town received winter assistance in the amount of $142,767.92. So what we're going to do, and I worked with the town accountant, Jen Argenti, on this, is we are going to transfer from general funds the difference between what we're expecting for the winter assistance and the deficit. And so that difference is $107,381.37. So we do have extra, some remaining funds in the medical life insurance town match line, and we normally do each year. We never know how many families or new employees who are to pick up insurance or have a family plan or a single plan or go on to their spouses and leave our plans. So we do have, as of today, a surplus of $121,486.97. So I am using that line for a few of these transfers, but the bulk of it will be going from medical life insurance town match to the snow and ice to close the deficit for $107,381.37.
Can I ask a question
sure.
on that? Because I'm trying to find, you had also sent an email about a memo from the DOR about amortizing
Yes.
so can you speak to whether the options we have and whether to do that versus utilize this transfer?
Right. So that is an option. We talked about that as well. I did with the accountant's office, and Justin, I think you and I had a discussion on that too. I did send the bulletin to all of you. So we do have a choice to amortize the deficit over fiscal years 2020 27 to 2029 inclusive. So we certainly could take the deficit, spread it over 3 years, and then we would have to come up with that for the next 3 years, where we know we have a surplus now. We know next year is going, this year was tight, next year is definitely going to be very tight. It's an option certainly you can consider. Speaking with the accountant and John Adams, we were talking about that, and we feel that it's really in the best interest of the town because we know we have a surplus that would otherwise wash back to free cash, which we need each year. We're not sure what we will have for any kind of a surplus next year, but it's an option. So certainly you could consider it if you prefer to do that.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to bring it up because you had sent us the
Yep,
bulletin, so I wanted to
absolutely.
get your professional expertise on that and the two
Do you want to go with the
scenarios.
line item transfer?
Yeah, so I think if you want to read all of these, we can take it as one vote.
Okay, sure. Okay, so this first one is line item 35, medical life insurance town match. GL account number 01914-2174 in the amount of $107,381.37. 2, line item 22, snow and ice control. GL account number 01423-2000-585 in the same amount, $107,381.37. And that will take care of our snow and ice deficit. Let's see, the next one I have here is DPW divisional expense going to DPW salaries. This one is, as you may know, Bruce Martin retired. Today was Bruce's last day. Per his contract, he had some remaining days that he had accrued over the years from when he was, a regular employee before he became a department head, that they.
Yeah, he accrued comp time
Comp
that he
time.
rolled over into his management role at the permission of the DPW commissioners.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then he used his comp time and had some vacation. But this was all approved by the Board of Commissioners. So a portion of his payout is coming out of the vacation for terminating employees out of the fiscal '26 budget. The balance of his payout was to come out of DPW salaries. They called us today. Actually, the assistant accountant came down and we spoke with Melissa over from the DPW. And the line, when she's looking at what needs to be paid out for this last portion of through June 30th next week, the line that she was going to pay their share out of was short by $5,900. So we looped Kevin Cleary in on this transfer. He signed off on it, and it is a transfer from line item 402, DPW divisional expense, to GL account number 01-402-2294-585 in the amount of $5,900 to line item 400, DPW salaries, GL account number 01-400-1000.113 for $5,900. So that will take care of covering what we need to pay him out for all the time that he had coming to him. The next transfer is from the medical life insurance town match, so it's line item 35. GL account number 01914-2000-174 in the amount of $1,642.58. Going to line item number 9, town clerk's budget, clerical 2, under GL account number 01-161-1002-126. Same amount, $1,642.58. And this transfer is necessary to cover vacation payout to Ann Holbrook, one of the employees that was laid off at the end of, actually through June 30th, but it took effect as of 12/01 on July 1st. And that way she did receive, insurance, but she was entitled to her payout. So that is to cover that deficit. And then we have one other here, and this is also from the medical life insurance town match, line item 35, GL 01-914-2000-174, in the amount of $1,500 to line item 14, expense, furnishings, and equipment for facilities, and that's 01192-2585, same amount, 1,500. And this is needed to cover anticipated outstanding fiscal '26 maintenance invoices. So I spoke with Lori, the executive admin, today. She went through her bills for electricity. She's still waiting for a bill to come in for the month of June. She also went on Amazon. There are a couple other Amazon bills that need to be paid. So she's anticipating about $1,500 to cover those.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve those 4 line item transfers as read by Mary Beth?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Thank you. Old business, resolution for community media modernization from Mass Access. We discussed this at our last meeting. I just thought it'd be worth reading the resolution before we voted on it. So, Town of Whitman, a resolution urging passage of Massachusetts House Bill H.91 and Senate Bill S.41 to modernize funding for community media programming. Whereas community media programming is essential to civic engagement, transparency in local government, public access to information, cultural expression, and educational opportunities for residents of the town of Whitman. And whereas Whitman-Hanson Cable Access, WHCA, is the town's designated community media and public access provider responsible for coverage of town select board meetings and other municipal proceedings, as well as locally produced civic, educational, and public affairs programming. And whereas WHCA provides free, non-commercial access to local information and forums for public expression, thereby supporting informed civic participation and governmental accountability in Whitman. And whereas the funding framework governing community media programming in Massachusetts has not kept pace with changes in technology, media consumption, and rising operational costs. And whereas outdated funding mechanisms place increasing strain on municipalities and local access providers while limiting their ability to modernize infrastructure, expand services, and maintain high-quality programming. And whereas House Bill H.91, an act to modernize funding for community media programming, pending before the Massachusetts General Court, would update and stabilize the funding structure for community media services across the Commonwealth. And whereas the companion legislation, Senate Bill S.41, advances similar reforms to modernize assessments and funding mechanisms in support of sustainable community media operations. Whereas House Bill H.91 and Senate Bill S.41 have been referred to the Joint Committee on Advanced Information Technology, the Internet and Cybersecurity, with subsequent review by the House and Senate Committees on Ways and Means. And whereas passage of this legislation will strengthen community media services, support municipal transparency, and ensure continued access to local programming for residents of Whitman and communities throughout Massachusetts. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Whitman Select Board hereby supports Massachusetts House Bill H.91 and Senate Bill S.41 and urges the Massachusetts General Court to enact this legislation without delay. And be it further resolved that the Town of Whitman Select Board calls upon the chairs and members of the Joint Committee on Advanced Information Technology, the Internet and Cybersecurity to report these bills favorably, and upon the chairs of the House Committee on Ways and Means and the Senate Committee on Ways and Means to advance the legislation promptly toward final passage. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Massachusetts House and Senate leadership, the chairs and members of the Joint Committee on Advanced Information Technology, the Internet and Cybersecurity, the chairs and members of the House and Senate Committees on Ways and Means, and the Whitman State Legislative Delegation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
Who is supporting this
So-
as far as,
This is what Eric Dresser presented us with last
Right.
meeting on, this was basically ripped from the city of Quincy.
right. Now, they're looking at the state contribute more money towards cable, right?
So it's not the state so much as it is streaming services. So Netflix, Hulu, Disney, what
Okay.
have you, would then kick in a percentage. I forget the exact percentage.
For-profit companies
Yeah.
making
Right.
money off of.
The
Right.
people that are not subscribing to Comcast to get their cable are often subscribing to these services, so it would support the same enterprises.
Right. So it won't, basically, it'll increase the cost if
those-
customers have those.
If those fees are passed on to customers, and we imagine
Right.
they would be, it would increase those by, it was 2 or 3%, I think.
Right. And if customers don't have those, there'll be no increase, right?
Correct.
And if in fact that there will be an increase of, say, like I have YouTube,
Yeah.
right, for the grandchildren. If there's going to be an increase in your cable bill for that, are they going to notify us prior to billing us?
I don't think there would be an increase on your cable bill for that.
Okay.
And it wouldn't be the internet provider themselves. It would be the fees that you pay to Netflix or Paramount or whatever streaming
Right, if you
services
buy it,
yeah,
right,
if you buy those.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It's really because their only funding source right now for cable, I mean, for our community TV access is from cable.
From the contract we negotiated with
Cable.
Comcast, yeah.
And that revenue is declining, Eric said.
I don't have cable.
Yes, I don't either. I mean, I have Xfinity Wi-Fi,
Right, I
but
have internet. But
Yeah, but when
So-
you, people who pay, like I have cable, and there is a part of the cable bill that goes to community access.
yeah,
So, I mean, if your
But there are
cable bill,
fewer
like
people with
mine's like
bills.
$250 a month or something
Yeah.
like that, maybe out of that 250, maybe 100 goes towards the cable, the cable.
I don't think it's that high, but
Not that high, I'm
Yeah.
just using numbers.
Yeah, a few dollars.
Right, and it comes
Yeah, a
back
few
to,
dollars.
yeah, it comes back and then we just shift it over to cable.
Yeah, but it's not as much as it used to be, is
Yeah,
what
it's fewer
they're
people paying it,
struggling with.
basically.
Well, because the cost of cable is so expensive, it's like, I don't even know why I still have it.
Yeah.
Oh, for the grandchildren,
Yeah.
But, okay.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second.
Yes,
All
second.
those in favor on supporting the resolution?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. And Mary Beth, can I trust you to pass it along to the
Yes.
parties that we listed?
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, committee updates. We'll try and go through these quickly. This was actually a suggestion from Dawn. So I think that we've had budget updates on here in the past. I think that we can try to alternate our meetings with budget updates and committee updates and try to keep people informed with what's going on in the individual subcommittees that we're all assigned to. So I kind of volunteered to take some of mine on this one and reach out if you've got updates from any of your committees. We'll put it on the, about a month from now. But the Economic Development Committee met last week with Old Colony Planning Council representatives to go through the downtown revitalization plan. Same presentation that we saw here, but it had several recommendations for the EDC to meet on, to consider. And I think the plan for the Economic Development Committee right now is that if we are successful in the master plan grant that we applied for, the EDC would reconvene to basically put together those sections of the master plan, or at least work with whoever we hire with the grant to assemble those pieces of the master plan. Using things that we've been discussing for the past year. I think the biggest thing to come out of the Economic Development Committee, member Brittany Cavallo, who's also on our Board of Assessors, and I toured a battery energy storage and solar agrivoltaics facility in Dighton, which is a farm that has solar panels and battery storage. It seems like an interesting opportunity. Whitman is pretty well sited on a major transmission line with a huge substation on the edge of the city of Brockton, where we may not have highway access, but we have the electrical equivalent of highway access in our town. And we've had battery companies interested before that have backed out. I think we'll see more in the future. And it was good to see what a modern battery storage facility looks like. This has only been open for about a year. So I think those are the kind of things the Economic Development Committee is looking at. Do we ask the bylaw study committee to consider template bylaws from the state to protect us in the event that those come out, those storage facilities come to town, and what it looks like? So that's been kind of the work of the EDC between downtown development, considering how we can capture additional growth on Route 18 and battery and solar developments that may come to us. Yeah, Don.
Okay, a little feedback. I'm glad you mentioned Route 18 and downtown as far as growth, economic development. I actually sat in today at noontime. Old Colony Planning Council had an Economic Development Commission meeting. It sort of got resurrected. It was 6 months ago or so, now that Paul DiGiuseppe is there. He was on that meeting. So it was a Zoom. And it was really interesting because towns, East Bridgewater was highlighted, and their main driver right now is to get sewer. Route 18 through to Brockton, and my notes quoting, said, "Sewer is the biggest driver of growth." And it just hit me because we've had it. We've had it for 40 years now, since 1980-something. And, you know, to think back that how many times as a citizen in this town, we were told, you know, Whitman doesn't have any revenue, we can't grow, we're not near Route 3, and all these obstacles when we're holding on to this golden egg of sewer. I mean, really. And it's something every other town is craving. I mean, Avon, Easton, East Bridgewater, Stoughton, they're all working towards getting what we have. So I think battery storage is an opportunity, but I think we need to still go back to what we originate with sewer. I mean, businesses should want to come here because it should be easy. And it doesn't feel like Whitman has made it easy for businesses to come here. And I know that some people have been able to build in this town, but some have not. And I was at the Zoning Board of Appeals the other night, and I've spoken with Mr. Goldrosen and heard, you know, multiple times how there have been builders who've wanted to come in and put certain developments and so forth, and then it just kind of falls apart, or they just go away, or, you know, but then it's possible for other people. So I just hope that we can focus on what we do have, infrastructure that I said, like I said, Plymouth, Avon, Easton, they're all trying to get sewer, and we already have it, and what are we doing with it, right? To grow the vacant storefronts that we have. So that's my soapbox for now.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan.
Okay. As far as that, I know that we're, if you talk to the DPW commissioners, as far as water and sewer is concerned, we are getting to our limit of what we can use as far as building, because they're building some.
When the limit, how do you quantify
A limit of
that?
how much Brockton will take for sewage.
I'd like to see the numbers on that.
Yeah,
If you're just
they would
saying-
have it, the DPW.
Dave LeMay.
You know, David
Yeah.
May would,
If
right?
we could add that to a future agenda item
Good idea.
to get, if we are, then we are,
Yeah.
but I'd like to see what the
Well,
real
yeah.
numbers are
It's whether or not, you know,
for output
the
to
water,
Brockton.
and also the water supply from Silver Lake. That's where we get our water from.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So, I mean, if they're, it's like if it's going down, you know, I mean, as far as the amount of water we can use, you need water to send sewage to Brockton. And if Brockton is taking in sewage from, you know, they're taking them from what, Whitman, themselves, and there's other towns that,
East Bridgewater's
East
new lines
Bridgewater,
connected
right.
to it.
their capacity might be
That's gonna,
limited.
that shouldn't diminish ours if East Bridgewater.
No, I'm saying diminish our building. In other words, Route 18 is a great highway, but we still have buildings on Route 18 that have been vacant for a while, and nobody's moving in.
And that's where I think economic development should
Right.
be outreach and,
But the
you know,
trouble is
finding a way.
there has to be a need for that business to go into a certain area. I can't believe, I can't believe that some of the buildings that had businesses in them and now they're leaving. I mean, especially like the candy store on Route 18 and you know, and a couple of places, and Richie Rosen's old restaurant that's supposed to have been used for a pot shop, I'll call it, but it hasn't been done. It's just been sitting there.
The
Now-
owners of that are still saying
you know,
they're
stuff like that.
coming.
Now we have the Stop and Shop building that's huge. Is somebody going to move in there? You
The
know?
old food master?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and that's the thing is, water and sewer, especially sewer, I agree with you, is a big attraction to say, look at Whitman has. Bring your business here. You don't have to worry. You don't have to, you know, septic system. You know, you don't have to build a field or anything like that. But
Well, I can tell you on this call, East Bridgewater was talking about, because they have Compass Medical there, they're talking about bringing in more medical businesses and making that a medical destination, to support the community. And there's a meeting in September. Brockton area, which includes Whitman, wants to be a leader in jobs, creating jobs. And that, the tech hub, they were talking about Route 24, West Bridgewater, Stoughton, Easton, Avon. They want to create their own little tech corridor.
Right.
So we're in this hub, and we need to sort of hop on. And
Right. Now, where the bank is on Route 18 and 14, where that used to be the little shopping, what was the company that we had?
Safflers?
Safflers, right. Do you know that the Compass, the medical building that's to the left of that, right? They wanted to buy that land before the bank went in and put what they have in East Bridgewater there. But for some reason, the owner of the property wouldn't sell it to him. Either he didn't get what he wanted or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's things like that, that,
Right. So
put a stop on a lot of projects.
yeah, a lot of what the Economic Development Committee has discussed. We had a whole meeting on vacant properties, and
Right.
it's we can't make people sell the properties. Like Santander's going to sit there until they get the number they're looking for, because they're going to keep paying their taxes until they do, and there's not much we can do
Right.
in the meantime. Same with the Peapod building. Stop and Shop owns it.
Right.
Unless they plan on selling it to another grocer.
No.
And why
They
would
won't.
they?
They
Right.
wouldn't,
So
because it's Stop and Shop.
They will continue to pay the taxes on that building until they find what they're looking for. So we're kind of in this strange thing. But yeah, sewer is the biggest thing every town is looking for.
Right.
We have it. I actually have questions about. I think that we could probably. I haven't looked at this in a couple of years, but just managing the leaks in our system between sewer and water would gain the capacity that we need for a lot of these buildings.
Yeah.
So I think there's an opportunity there. We'll invite try to invite Dave LeMay to a future meeting to talk about what it takes. Either an economic development committee meeting or a select board meeting, but probably here since we've now brought it up.
yeah, I mean, Dan's the liaison, so maybe,
Yeah.
what he's saying, I'm not saying it's not true, but I'd
Oh, yeah.
like to hear the detail. Like, are we hitting a max, right? Where is our threshold?
Yep. I'll ask him about it.
And I mean, the bottom line is, EDC, especially in this area, what the state's incentivizing right now is housing. A lot of what we were looking at was what else?
Housing and jobs.
Yeah, and so we've got the 40R, we've got the MBTA overlay.
Those are huge.
Those are huge for housing, and still,
And the sewer is there.
and the sewer's there. Try and quickly touch on the rest of these. So Regional Agreement Committee, our last meeting was, and my last meeting as a member of that committee, was entirely about transportation. I urge everyone on the board to go back and watch it. It was fascinating to see how the current bus contract works and kind of why we are where we are, and even hear the superintendent say he does agree with our interpretation of the agreement, that it is possible for them to assess it as an operating cost today. And it looks like the school committee, come the fall, will at least consider that option, where it fell on deaf ears the last couple of years. So that's really encouraging, and it might be the breakthrough we need to get the Regional Agreement Committee signed. The regional agreement updated.
Question regarding this, since you are stepping off this committee and
Yeah.
Sean is the new member on that, can we revisit regional agreement as an agenda item for the select board before Sean goes into
Sounds
the
good,
next
yeah.
meeting?
Yeah.
Because we've got Chrissy and myself as new board members, and we have to remember that when one of us goes on a subcommittee, we're not an individual with our own thoughts, right? They're representing the board, as we all do when we're on a committee. And so I'd like to have a greater discussion when Sean's here.
And I would say particularly with that committee, because the structure of that committee is that each member goes back to their respective boards to seek a consensus and try to bring a compromise forward, because ultimately it needs to pass this board, Hanson Select Board, the school committee, both town meetings, and DESI's approval. It's a very complicated process
Yes.
to get
Okay.
there.
Do you want that on the July 14th meeting?
If Sean will be back for that one, yeah, he'll be back.
We'll be back on the 4th. I
Yeah,
believe.
we can discuss it there, because I think
Okay.
his meeting is the 15th, so that'll be good timing.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then Plymouth County Advisory, Dan, do you want to give
we
an
had
update
our
there?
last meeting, and we talked about the budget, and he went over the different line items on the budget. And in the read file, I did put a copy of the agenda and what each department is getting. So it's there, but it was passed and agreed upon. There was much discussion on it. Tom went over all the numbers, and it seemed to be in line. So no big deal. But as I say, I got the agenda and the entire budget for Plymouth County, and I put it in the refile.
And just to add to that, the county commissioners interviewed 3 candidates
Yeah.
for the county administrator position. Frank Basler's retiring, I believe, in August. And I believe they're going to vote tomorrow to appoint one of them to be the next Plymouth County administrator pending contract negotiations. So we will let you know when we have a new name.
Also, we elected Laura Kemet
Yes, you mentioned.
on the executive board for Plymouth County.
Oh, good.
Right, so she's on it. So they looked at me and I said, no, I can't.
All right, and town administrator report, but before, I do just want to revisit a couple things I missed going through my off-the-agenda updates. So in addition to the retirements we recognized, obviously Kathy Keefe is not here tonight because she retired. I think today is her last day on the books, but she's using vacation time.
Correct.
Her last day in the office was last Thursday. As well as Fire Chief Tim Clancy, who is retiring next week.
10th, July 10th.
Okay. And Bruce Martin, we've already mentioned, today is his last day. He's
Today is
retiring
his
after 33 years with the town.
One time.
So, yeah, a lot of longtime employees retiring.
They were right out of high school.
And Mary Beth and I received this, along with Dan and Don,
Yeah.
from State Rep Allison Sullivan Almeida and Senator Michael Brady. This is a copy of the Declaration of Independence printed on a time-accurate printer, framed up at the State House for the town of Whitman. So when we figure out where to put it, we'll let you know.
I think every town was issued one, is that right?
Every town in the Commonwealth was issued one. Their reps managed the distribution. So thank you.
Do you want to introduce Matt? Since Kat has
Yeah, I think town administrator report. Do you want to introduce new assistant town administrator?
Sure, we have a new assistant town administrator, Matt Dyer, who will be starting with us tomorrow officially, July 1st. Yeah, we're excited to have him. And Kathy's last day, as we said, is today, and Matt's stepping right in. So get ready, Matt.
All right.
Okay. Welcome.
Yes,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Town administrator report. So I was checking it all day today.
This has been talked about.
Just as I came upstairs, we got another application in. So we have 16 applicants for the town administrator's position. I've been forwarding those on to the subcommittee, to yourself, to Chrissy Gorman, and to Dan Kelly. And so we have this on the website through Thursday of this week. I'd like to finish that through on Friday, get everything together, and it would be great if we could meet next week sometime, just to go through and cull that down maybe to 6 or
You're
7.
talking about the committee.
The committee.
Yeah,
Full board.
yeah.
Okay.
Right, to, get that down to a manageable amount, start setting up the interviews, and then we could do second interviews, get it down to however many you want to bring forth. I don't know if you want 2 as finalists, or 2 or 3.
I think in the past, we've asked the committee to use their best judgment, right? If, like with the ATA search, they brought 3 forward because there were 3
Okay,
in the ballpark. I think it wouldn't be surprising if there's one standout, the subcommittee agrees, bring one forward, right?
I think we should bring more than one forward, but, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We
Okay.
need to bring more than
Thank you,
one.
Peter.
Yes. I did
I mean,
read that somewhere.
I'd be a fan of 3, only because
Yeah.
you've got like low, middle, high, if there's 2, but if, if you don't find 3, 2, yeah.
At least 2.
At least 2,
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll say 2 to 3. And it's really varied. We've had some applicants with town administrator experience, town manager, a lot of municipal experience in one way or another, financial experience. So I think out of that, we certainly can get a nice group to interview.
That being said, is it proper for us to discuss, sort of as you review these, what is the priority, right? What, did we talk, I mean, we set a job description.
True, yeah,
Like,
we didn't exactly set out what this board was looking for in a town administrator.
Yeah, do we feel like we absolutely want someone who has been in that role before, right? Who has leadership skills, or are we looking, I don't know. Because it's hard to say who's applying.
Right.
Right, yeah, without seeing the,
Someone, you know, what if there's someone who's been in ATA for 10 years, right? So they show knowledge base, but they're not.
Well, the subcommittee would be the one to be able to
Yeah.
bring that forward.
I think, yeah, if
Okay.
we'll probably have some sort of update on this on most agendas. If there's anything in particular the rest of the board is looking for in an XTA, I think we can discuss it a little further at the next meeting as we start reaching out for interviews for anyone that the subcommittee thinks meets the minimum qualifications and,
Yeah.
or upper echelon, however we split it.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so I will, send the rest of them out through Friday morning, and then we can pick a time and meet next week. And so we'll have something, definitely, we'll keep this on the agenda
Yeah.
going forward, just with an update. Okay, so that's that. And then the next item, the Corthell CPC. Do you want me to go into that one, or?
Yeah, just that we had a meeting with Ryan
We
Trussell.
did. Justin and I met with Ryan Trussell on June 17th to discuss the possibility of having the Corthell building restored with CPC funds. At that time, Ryan did mention the Conservation Commission also going forward looking for some funds for CPC. So we had said we're not sure if there'll be a special town meeting. It would have to be, I would think you would want it after we set our, get our free cash certified. But if so, we could move on this item at that time, along with some of the other departments. So one major consideration for the Corthell building is if we change the use of the building, so it was the Head Start preschool for years. If we change the use, then we do have to update the building with a fire sprinkler system. So it's been checked every year. And I know the Cushing Center, when I went down and toured the Cushing Center in Norwell, I asked if they had a sprinkler system. She said, no, we've never had it. And I said, any problems? She said, no. She said the fire, they come in, they check everything. So that's very expensive. We have one quote, it's $254,000. So I did ask Mike to get 3 quotes on that, which he will do. So I think before we think about, it would just be my suggestion, but before we start making it pretty, I think we need to absolutely, safety first and get that taken care of. So if we do have a special town meeting coming up, I would suggest that we put this on as an article. But certainly, Ryan Trussell said it's not a problem as far as using CPC funds for that. The pre-application deadline is the Wednesday after Martin Luther King Day, which would be January 20th, 2027. That's the deadline. I mentioned the quote. And Ryan had said that he had thought, and the accountant agreed, that the CPA undesignated fund balance is approximately $638,000 at this time. And as of fiscal '27, tomorrow, the historic bucket of the CPC funds is sitting at $45,310. The recreation open space is at $86,510, and community housing $41,510. Also, with CPC funds, one thing that can be done on a project is you can actually borrow against future CPC revenues that you expect to come in if you ever needed to do that. But there is, quite a bit of money there, and this is a project, and with the sprinkler system, I don't know how you feel, if you think that would be where you'd want to start.
Yeah, I think life safety is usually the priority.
That's what to me, that's what.
I'd be in favor of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I will have a few items. Maybe we could even talk about that at a future meeting, about a special town meeting and when. I know as far as an election, I think we would be talking December, January, according to a good time for the town clerk. If we wanted to have one, and especially the main reason for that would be the South Shore VOTEC debt exclusion. As far as a special town meeting, we don't need that to put the South Shore Boat Tech forward again. We just need the election, but we usually do have a need or a reason to have one in the fall. So we can talk about that as we move forward.
We probably should put the VOTEC back before the board. We've kind of worked around it the last few weeks, but yeah, if we feel that a vote is needed, we should schedule a date and start planning for it.
Right, and I think that we kind of said we would wait until, the financial meetings were going on.
Yeah.
And Sean had thought maybe it could be discussed at that point.
Yeah.
But certainly, I think that we should have it on our radar.
Yeah.
Just a quick question back to the sprinkler and use of the Corthell building. So is your recommendation that it remains vacant until that January deadline with CPC funding, and then it would be May town meeting, the town meeting would need to appropriate it, and then sprinkler work would be done after that? Is that what we're?
Not necessarily so. I did have somebody reach out from the former Mary Deb.
Okay.
It's now a new preschool, but they've opened it to even infants, so they have more demand than they have space, so they expressed an interest. So it may be something that we could still, it doesn't change the use of the building, where we could have them, I told them to reach out, send me an email, and they could come and tour it and see if they would be interested. When they called me, they had thought, well, maybe we can lease it or we can buy it, but I don't think we want to sell it. So maybe we could still even get some revenue coming in,
Okay.
would be, to me, optimal.
Right, better, yeah.
Okay. Well, would we be in a position then to, what procurement laws apply? Because someone's just saying, I want to use it. What if someone else has another business
That would
says,
trigger the full 30B procurement process, which, yeah, it would be market rate.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
the right thing to do, to put it out there, and then people can
We would have to.
respond.
But we'd have to set the use as childcare, basically, to not change the use so that we can,
True. But
Turn it
then,
over,
then
yeah.
we would know if we have multiple people interested.
and there may
Then
be.
we have-
It would be similar to what we just went through with the DPW administration building.
Yeah.
Depending on what the fair market value rent is, and because the DPW came in at a lower rate, we were allowed to go in a different direction and
Yeah.
could lease it directly to a food pantry. But if it were over, I believe it was 35,000 in rent for the year, then we would have to do an RFP, and so there's different
Okay.
requirements, and we would certainly follow that. Okay.
I'm sorry, I have one follow-up back to job postings. You mentioned town administrator. Do we have other job openings?
We do.
And
We
do
do.
you have an
and
update on those?
I
Sorry.
do. No. Matter of fact, that's on my list here.
Okay.
We normally don't have many at the same time, but right now we are filling the payroll, part-time payroll position, and it was decided that we would wait a little bit on that because for the office, for the interruption being year-end, they preferred to have the Bill Caposi, who was the former payroll person a while back, just do that through the end of the year. So we've had a few interviews, and we have a couple more, I believe. We have three for this coming Thursday. So we want to wrap that position up very shortly. Then we also have the custodian position, because Mike was promoted to the facilities manager. We do have a gentleman in helping us out now with the custodial just temporarily. He doesn't want the position full-time. It involves the snow and all of that. So we've advertised that. We've gotten a fair amount of candidates for that. I put that out to Mike Coburn. So we're going to set up some interviews for next week on that. Then we have the VSO, because Declan went on to a district, a great opportunity for him, and I do wish him well. But he has offered to come back on Tuesdays from 4 to 7. He wants to make sure that he wraps up the fiscal year for us, that he inputs the information for the next 6 months, and he also wants to be involved in the hiring.
Right.
So, and I think that that's great. So I've been forwarding, all of the applicants to him as well. We've gotten a good amount of applicants for the VSO. And then we have the TA, and we've actually gotten a couple, for some reason, that have come in to our department for laborers, truck drivers over at the DPW, but I forwarded those over to them, so they handled that.
You mentioned Bill Capozzi. Is he leaving?
Young Bill, no, he actually transitioned from the payroll to the clerical
Okay.
position within the office.
Okay.
But he would be the one to train the new payroll person, and he said really it would be easier for him just to do the payroll than to try to train someone in the last couple of weeks of the fiscal year. So we wanted the new person, Deb O'Brien, treasurer collector, thought it might be best to have the new payroll person start July 15th, that week or so.
He's just like his father.
So you are getting applicants. My thought was,
Oh, yes.
if these positions were sort of stale and not getting applicants, do we need to put it on the sign out front,
Oh,
town
no,
hall,
we're-
or anything? Okay.
They're coming in.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I'll look and I'll see 10, and I'll think, oh, great, 10 TA, but I'm putting 2 here, 2 here, 3
So
here.
always
So
getting feedback.
across the board.
Okay.
Everyone, I would say that they're on the town website, but MMA is like the
Yeah.
main
hub,
place,
yeah.
the hub
Okay.
where everybody knows
That's
to
where
look.
everybody looks, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay,
Okay. Anything else, Mary Beth?
that is it.
All right, we need to go into 2 executive sessions. The first, executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A1, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of or complaints of charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. And the second executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or real value of property if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body regarding the former DPW administration building Whitman Food Pantry lease. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
And a roll call vote to enter executive session? Yes, yes,
Yes.
Yes.
yes. All right, we're in executive session. We will return only to adjourn.